Hi. Certainly glad you could join me tonight for this special live stream. I hope it's a great day where you're at, because it's a great day here. And we're just going to do a little bit of digital painting tonight, using the old Corel Painter 2018 and a Wacom Cintiq. I might also use a few little colors here on my palette and a couple of unorthodox brushes. And let's just take a little sip of Joy Painting Juice. It's always important to whet your whistle. Whet your whistle. I'll create an old sketch layer here. And Casper the Ghost. It's kind of a spherical head that then dips in, and there's a little cheek there. And then he has kind of a body like a sperm. Might even make it a little bit smaller here so I can fit the whole thing on the canvas. I don't know about you, but I have a habit of always running off the canvas, and that's the nice thing about working digitally. When I used to draw traditionally, I'd always run off the canvas and it would just be a big headache. I'd have to break out the old eraser. And if you've ever used an eraser before, you know it never really gets everything. And if you're a perfectionist like me, you don't like those little lines that are left over. Even if no one will see them, you know they're there. Casper the Ghost was a very depressing cartoon. It was a little boy who died and became a ghost, but he was always naive to the fact that he was a ghost, and so he'd go out and he'd try to make friends, and he'd scare people, animals, and all kinds of stuff. There's kind of an interesting shape eye here. It's not a perfect ellipse. It's a little bit angular. Now you might wonder, how is it that I do such a good Bob Ross impression? Well, to tell you the truth, I've been listening to Bob Ross before I go to sleep for quite a few years now, and that's no joke. And I do it to help me fall asleep, but I also do it to help put subliminal messages in my mind about painting. And I feel like in some ways that's helped me be a better painter. Couple little old eyes there. Do the nose like that. I wonder why a ghost has a tongue. Oh, we don't want to forget a couple little eyebrows there. And we'll give him some creepy fingers. And I'm just trying to do this fairly quick, just so I can do as many drawings as humanly possible for this session. So if I weren't feeling so rushed, I might take a little bit more time to draw this a little more accurately. But because I don't care, and I'm a little drunk, I'm just going to do it like this. Alright. That angle looks completely wrong for the hand, but that's how it is in the reference. Still, I might change it up just a bit. We'll see how long I can do this stupid voice. This might be about a 1 to 2 hour live stream, in case you're wondering. Now, some of you might be in a place out there where it's just about bedtime, and you might not be able to stay up and watch this whole live stream, but maybe you can put it on your phone and put in some headphones and just lay back and fall asleep to the soothing sounds of my voice as I create some of Halloween's masterpieces here on this canvas. So I might go ahead and clean this up just a bit. So here we go. Here's your ink layer here. And shoot, we'll just make that sketch layer just a little more transparent. Actually, before we do that, let's just not be so sloppy here. Let's just try a little bit harder. Because I think we want the head to be a bit bigger and the body to be a little bit longer. That might look a little bit more accurate. Alright, that's about 10% better. So let's go ahead and do that ink I was talking about doing a minute ago. And go ahead and put in the old peeper there. Personally, I liked Casper the Ghost as a cartoon. It's a pretty interesting idea. But you'll notice I'm not following that sketch exactly. If I want to clean it up, I'm going to clean it up a bit. Don't be afraid to use those undos. That's what they're there for. Shoot, that'd be like making a watercolor painting and never using watercolor. Alright. Got the old Casper the Ghost there. Well, let's go ahead and move that out from behind my giant head. And now you can see him better. So I'll go ahead and just catch up on the old comments here. Alfonso wants to see Pennywise the Clown. Crankle wants to see a Pokemon. Pamela liked the Casper. Thanks, Pamela. Kina's here. Good to see you, Kina. Well, feel free to comment in now, and if you have a suggestion for a Halloween-themed drawing, I'll be happy to draw that next. I'm going to go ahead and call this layer Casper so I know what it is. I'll create a new layer, and somebody suggested Pennywise, so we'll go ahead and do that. Do a pretty quick Pennywise here, about as quick as I can do it. Let's go ahead and make the old canvas black. Why is that not black? Let's try that again. Ah, the old opacity's turned down. There we go. And we'll create another layer. I'm going to use the old smooth palette knife this time. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to block in each of these main areas of color. So we got the hair and we got the head. We'll have a layer for some of the facial features. And what I'm doing here is just kind of sketching this in roughly to begin with. Portraits are one of those things that you really got to spend some time on. The more time you spend on it, up to a certain point, the better it's going to look. Pennywise looks like he drew on his eyebrows with Sharpie. So now let's go ahead and adjust this just a bit. Made the nose a little bit too high. So we'll just go ahead and scoot that down. I might go ahead and add to that old head shape there too, just to make it a bit taller. Add a bit more chin. Shoot, this is starting to creep me out already. Let's go ahead and select some magic white now. And we'll just put in a little bit of that. Maybe we'll do that on the right layer. Can tell this one's going to take a little bit of time. Landon Hughes says, "Grandpa, is that you?" I very well might be your grandpa. Looks a little too happy. I'm just going to clean up some of those extra guides that I put in. And here, I'll create a new layer. I'm not doing a very good job of naming my layers tonight. That's because I'm trying to paint kind of fast. When you're painting quickly, you got to cut corners sometimes. I might put in a little bit of detail on the hair here. Figure out where I put that layer. So now that I'm hunting for layers, I might just go ahead and name a few of them. Now that's pretty good. I won't name them all. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn off the old symmetry painting. I might just go ahead and group these layers together for the face. I'm doing that because I want to be able to transform all those layers together. Made the face too wide overall, I feel. And we can just make it bigger. There we go. I'll go ahead and just merge down all those layers into a single layer just to make it easier to work with. I don't want the face to be completely symmetrical, so I don't want to use mirror painting for the whole thing. I'm being pretty loose and spontaneous about this when I'm painting. I have a pretty good idea of where this stuff is going to go, but I'm not going to worry too much about the very specific details of exactly how it's going to look. Just kind of let that part happen. I'll go ahead and show you the old Cintiq 27 here, and you might be able to see how spontaneous I'm being. Following a general direction for the hair, that part you have to get right. Get the hair going in the wrong direction, it's not going to look right. But other than that, it doesn't really matter how you put your hair in. Here, I'm hitting that canvas pretty hard. Not enough to break my pen, not enough to put a big crack in my screen here. But I'm not thinking too much about it, I'm just putting it in. Now shoot, I could spend 6 or 8 hours on this and probably still not be completely happy with it, but because I want to try to draw as many paintings as I can in this session, I'm going to do this pretty quick and dirty. Might add a little bit more to this, but I think I'm getting near a point where I feel like I can call this a finished doodle. add a little bit of reflection on the other side of that nose. The nose is pretty shiny. And maybe we'll reflect some of the skin, maybe a little bit of the hair and the eyes as well. The more lifelike we make them, the more creepy it's going to look. And shoot, I know I told you to watch this right before you go to bed, but maybe you might not want to think about the scary clown as you're going to sleep. That might be bad advice. Those lashes might be too long, but it needs a little bit of an indication of some eyelashes. I'll just go ahead and merge all those scary clown face layers. And I'm going to take out the old pinch brush. Pinch the eyes, make them a little bit smaller. Use the bulge brush to make the nose a bit bigger. The pinch just sucks the pixels in, and bulge pushes them out. You can use it just to sculpt your face a little bit. It may or may not need that. For instance, up here at the top, I went ahead and messed up the top of the head somehow. I think I had a selection active, so I can just push those pixels like that just to nudge them up towards the top. I might even bulge this out a bit more, just to make the head a bit rounder. We just about have a finished painting here. I'm using a blender that's a smooth palette knife blender here. That's kind of helping me to mix up my paint so those edges aren't so sharp. You know, I keep saying I'm almost done with this and I keep working on it, but you know, that's what makes the difference between a painting that looks more complete and one that looks less complete. One you spend more time on is probably going to look better, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you can spend too much time on something and you can make it worse. So you have to know when to stop. I'll probably look at this later and see all kinds of mistakes, but at some point, you just got to be done. And I think that point is just about now. I'm going to call that good. I'm going to go ahead and save this. All right, 2 down. And shoot, let's go ahead and get another request going here, and while we're doing that, I'm going to drink a little bit of Joy Painting juice and catch up on the comments. And you know what? Actually, before I do that, I know what you've all been waiting for. And beat the devil out of that brush. All right. May wants to know if I'm going to upload the full stream after it's over. Yes, once this is done recording, it might take a little while to process, but then it'll be up on my channel for you to watch the whole thing later. Sounds like everybody liked the Pennywise painting. Landon wants to see a caramel apple. That's a pretty good one. Or a spider. Alfonso wants to see a zombie Bob Ross. I gotta say, I kind of like the zombie Bob Ross. That I might tone it down a little bit in style, so I can do it a little bit faster. I might do it more like a cartoon. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I saw some other good suggestions there, so just hang on to those. Plenty of time to do more drawings here. Bob Ross kind of has the same shape head as Toad from Super Mario Brothers. So that'll be the sketch for the head. And let's go ahead and give him a body here. I thought what might kind of be funny is to have his head be backwards since he's a zombie, but we'll have to see if that works. But that's what's going on here. I'm not so drunk that I'm putting the head on the wrong way, unintentionally. I don't know that it necessarily reads that way, so maybe we'll start over here. And oops. When I add color, it'll be a little more clear what this is exactly supposed to be. Alright, that's looking a little bit better. Alright, so just like we did with Pennywise, this will just be our sketch. Actually, no, we didn't sketch out Pennywise. Just like we did with Casper, we will ink our sketch and we'll make the inking better. I'll go ahead and just switch the old screen here to the Cintiq. I think that makes for a more satisfying inking experience. I'll make his eyes a bit smaller because he doesn't have very big eyes to begin with. And help him look a little more zombie by making him have ragged clothing. bite taken out of his arm there. Shoot, this is how I look when I come home late. Now I'm going to go ahead and create an additional layer here, because I want to use a guide to help me perfectly line up the paintbrush here. Using the straight line drawing mode here in Corel Painter. There we go. That worked pretty well. We need some little splashes of paint here on the canvas. Not on the canvas, on the palette. Maybe we'll give him long nails. You might look up Bob Ross Coke nail if you're curious about Bob Ross's nails. Alright, shoot, I think we got a pretty good looking zombie Bob Ross here. Let's give him a little bit of arm hair. And shoot, maybe a little bit of scraggly old chest hair as well, just like I have. Just add a little bit of texture to the hair by putting in some little dots. Help him look a little disheveled by doing a little bit of hatching and shading here on the clothes. And we could just delete that old sketch layer. We don't need that anymore. I'll go ahead and pause for a second here to catch up on comments, and then I'll move on to doing some of the color here. Shoot, I think I got some hair in my mouth. This is probably the worst possible thing you could wear during a live stream, because I got two big old lights shining down on me, and it's already really hot in my room because I got a TV, a Cintiq, and a monitor and a computer all running in a tiny box. So you can only imagine how hot it is in here. And on top of that, I got a big old wig and a beard and a long sleeve shirt. Alright, so I don't really see any questions here. So I'll go ahead and continue on with the painting, because that's probably what you want to see. You don't want to hear me talk, you want to see me paint. So one thing I do notice, and this is why it's good to take breaks, is there's a line I wasn't happy with there on the hands. So that'll be a bit better. And maybe this one too. Shoot, I think that looks pretty good. Add just a little bit of hatching here. The hatching helps add 3D contour to your objects, even if they're very two-dimensional like this ink drawing. You can still give them form. You can also use it to add shadows and texture and shoot all kinds of stuff. Alright, so let's go ahead and call this layer ink. Create a layer beneath it for the color. And start with the hair. I know people always want me to use the paint bucket here, but the paint bucket's just a little sloppy. In some applications it works really well, but I want my color to be on a separate layer, and unfortunately, for me at least, this is the easiest way to do it, while still having it be clean. If you use the paint bucket, what it's going to do is it's going to give you very, very jagged edges, because it's going to try to butt these color pixels up against your black line. And those edges aren't completely smooth. I want to make sure that my black line is completely covering my color, or that my color is going only, it's going behind the black, but it's not spilling out past it. I know that's going to be the case here when I'm painting, because I'm making sure to do it that way. I'm not relying on the automation of the paint bucket. Now, in order to make it faster, what I do is I paint just right along the edges, because those are the most important, and I fill in the center with the paint bucket. You take out the old eraser here and just erase the hair off of the teeth. Speaking of hair all over the teeth, look at what I got going on here. I'm doing this for you. I would not wear a fake beard for any other reason other than to entertain you. Alright, so now thinking about it, I don't know why I made the skin a normal color if he's going to be a zombie Bob Ross. Shoot, he ought to have some green skin like that. I mean, shoot, this is our world. We can make the skin any color we want. Alright, we'll just fill that in. And we got a couple little fingers over here. Shoot, I think that looks pretty good for the skin. Now we need to do the old shirt. Just going right along the edge. The middle, that doesn't matter too much. And then we have a few other accessories like the brush. And then underneath all that, we want the palette. And if you're enjoying this special live stream and you want to help support my channel and get me to do more live streams like this, click that super chat button that's down on the bottom of the chat. You can use that to send me money, any amount, $1, $5, $10, $1 million, $4 million. I think there's actually a limit on it to how much you can send. But anything helps. And it'll let you pin a comment to the chat. And I'll see that comment. I'll give you a shout out. I'll thank you for your contribution. And if there's a question you'd like to answer, or there's a question you'd like to ask me, or anything else, just let me know. Well, I'm just going to do the colors on a separate layer, just in case I want to change the color of the palette. Go ahead and make that brighter so it stands out a bit more. And let's just use colors that he might have had on his canvas rather than just the primary colors. I'm going to put some magic white on there. Get Wrecked Brenhart with the $2 super chat. Thank you very much, Get Wrecked. I tell you what, every super chat needs a friend. Much appreciated, Get Wrecked. Let's put some permanent red on here. And we'll have a few mixtures of colors in these areas here. We'll make kind of a purplish color here. Maybe this was a mix of colors. Now I'm going to do just a tiny bit of shading. Not a whole lot. There's not really a reason for that, I'm just feeling lazy. And we don't want to forget the bite, as somebody suggested earlier. Do a little bit of shading on the skin. This adds just a little bit of three-dimensionality to it. Helps it not look flat. And we'll go to the old hair layer here. Put a little bit of shading on the old fuzz top. This looks like a nice place where Peapod the pocket squirrel might live. I might curl up in my hair and shoot, maybe he might watch a little bit of Netflix. I'm going to go to that old brush layer. I'll just help that brush look a little more shiny. A little bit of white on that. And then we'll go to the old shirt layer. Shoot, I think I want to make that just a bit lighter. And we might even go ahead and darken the old background here. And his eyes and mouth have completely disappeared. We want to fix that, so we need to make a layer for those. There we go. Now all the layers are in a better order. I'll just clean up a few of these straight edges here and there. And I think with that we got a pretty good looking zombie Bob Ross. I'm just gonna dip my pen in a little bit of owl's blood here. And I'll go ahead and just sign this piece. And I think with that, it's about 9:09 now. It's been about an hour. I might go ahead and do one more drawing, and then I'll go ahead and call this old live stream finished. Lawrence Mann is here. Good to see you, Lawrence Mann. He says, Bob Zombie. So feel free to shout out some more Halloween-themed requests, and I'll try to do another painting for you. So let's just go ahead and cycle through some of the drawings that have been done in this live stream so far. We got the zombie Bob Ross. We got the creepy Pennywise. We got Casper the Friendly Ghost. All very good suggestions so far. I'm just gonna down a little bit of Joy painting juice here. If you're wondering what I'm drinking, this is not sponsored, by the way. Lagunitas Born Yesterday Pale Ale Fresh Hop Unfiltered that I got from Trader Joe's. It's very hoppy and very tasty. If you're wondering what kind of beer I like hoppy beer. And if you want to help me get more beer, check out that super chat button down there at the bottom. Send me $5 or $10, and I guarantee you I'll go right to the liquor store and I'll buy more beer. As soon as this old live stream is over. Lawrence Mann wants to see a zombie bird. May wants to see a haunted house. I want to see less hair in my mouth. Pokemon Pumpkinaboo. Pumpkaboo. I'm gonna have to look that up. Shoot, that's hard to spell. Pumpkaboo. Alright, we can do that. You know, I was into the first generation Pokemon, and then after that I just about dropped off. But I feel like the first generation Pokemon, they were around 100, and they had some pretty good ideas, but I feel like they ran through just about all of them. Because when you get to these later generation Pokemon, you got this wig on top of a pumpkin, looks kind of like Mickey Mouse, or something, and it's just really a stupid character. So let's go ahead and sketch this out. It's just such an amorphous thing. I think it's supposed to be an owl. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's got horns. And it's boo. But I would think maybe that would be Pumpkahoo. We got Get Wrecked Bret Hart with yet another super chat, because every super chat needs a friend. Thank you very much, twice over, Get Wrecked. Very much appreciated. It's people like you who keep live streams like this happening. Get Wrecked got my next beer. Thank you, Get Wrecked. Lawrence wants to know if I heard that they brought back DuckTales. Yes, I have heard about it, but I haven't yet watched it. I don't know, is it going to be on Netflix? Let's just go ahead and make this bigger so we can see more of it. Actually, before we do that, I'll move it up a bit too. So I forgot there's the whole rest of the bottom half of the body. I know they remade the DuckTales game, or it's a HD remaster. And I watched some reviews of it and stuff, but I haven't played it. I don't really have a console to play games on, because I don't really play games anymore. Although, I shouldn't say that, because I did just get a Super Nintendo as a gift. Very cool gift, and an original classic Super Nintendo. Not the classic edition. Oh, there's a thing on the head that I forgot too, so I'm gonna have to make this all smaller again. I like DuckTales a lot. I would say that's probably one of my favorite cartoons from the 90s. I actually got I think probably all of the DuckTales episodes, the original cartoon, on DVD. They had them at Costco. I couldn't help but buy them. Lawrence says it's Disney, so probably not on Netflix. True, Disney does not like Netflix. Still has the classic theme. That's good. That would just be foolish to even try to mess with that. So this ought to probably work pretty well. I feel like I can do a better job here on these little button things. Alright, Pumpkaboo is coming together. So I'll go ahead and do that inking now. Well, let's go ahead and switch so you can see my hand. You're probably tired of looking at my face by now. I'll go just a bit wider with my stroke width. I find that inking is very relaxing. I mean, you have to kind of stress out about it a little bit because you want it to be perfect, but it flows. And that's really the best way to do it, is to flow with it. So if you're too slow, then your line ends up kind of wobbly. It really just comes with practice. I think that's just about all the lines that we need to put in there for that. So I can hide that sketch now. Oh, there's one more line there that I forgot. And now we can go ahead and add in some color. I want to go just a bit darker, a bit more desaturated. And again, I'm just going to make sure that the edge is nice and filled in. There are some other applications I've tried that will allow you to use the paint bucket and then automatically take what you, or I think actually what it does is it allows you to fill with the paint bucket but use the boundaries of a separate layer to constrain your paint, but then it puts your paint on its own layer. That actually works pretty well, but everything else in that program I don't like, and I don't remember exactly which one it was. It might have been Krita or something like that. I thought that worked pretty well. But, you know, that doesn't take too long to do. Makes you feel like you're drawing something too if you're not spending all day just filling stuff in with the paint bucket. And we'll do another layer beneath that for the pumpkin part, which is kind of a salmon color. Something about like that. And we need another layer beneath that for the eyes, which are a golden yellow color. Actually, that needs to be above everything else, not beneath it. This beard is starting to get really itchy. And we'll do a little pink on the inside of the mouth here. And some white for the fangs. I guess it's not an owl if it has fangs. Who knows what the heck this thing is. Little glowing buttons like Mickey Mouse. And the little buttons maybe are actually holes or lights or something, so there's some edges that I didn't see before. I'll want to indicate there. And shoot, I'll just name a few of these layers. Call this one pants, because I don't know what else it would be. Alright, and we can add a little bit of shading to this now. Just desaturate my color a bit. And we'll do a little bit of shading on those holes just to give them a bit of an edge. And I'll do a little bit on the eyes as well. And why not the mouth too? Do that a bit darker so it shows up there on the television screen for you. And we need to do a little bit of shading on the old body here. We'll just make that color a bit brighter. And maybe even shift the hue a bit as well. You know what, actually, I might just do a shadow instead. That'll be easier. Bob Ross drawn Pokemon. But you never thought you'd be watching that tonight. And then I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add another layer and set it to screen. We'll choose a nice bright glowing color here. I'll use it to make the old eyes glow. And these weird little Mickey Mouse buttonholes. And I think with that we got a pretty good punkaboo, or whatever it's called. So I'm going to go ahead and group those layers. Go ahead and save this artwork. So I think with that, we're going to go ahead and call this a finished live stream. Thanks everybody for joining me for this and for all your great suggestions. As I mentioned earlier, this live stream will be available for you to watch in its entirety as soon as it's done processing.